It was announced a few months ago that, and rightly so, Martin Jarmond, the athletic director for UCLA, got that long-term contract. Make us one of many here to congratulate him on that as he joins us on the Bruin Insider Show alongside Nick Cope. I'm Brian Fenley. Martin is with us. Fortunately, kindly knowing your schedule, getting a chance for those who are watching the video component here. Your schedule is so busy, but also I'm looking at your computer. So you're standing a lot. And I'm thinking to myself, isn't that a microcosm of what you do here? You're always walking around. You're always on the move. And then in your office, you're not even sitting down then.
No, it's first of all, it's good to be with you guys. And thank you. It's one of those jobs where you just got to constantly be doing something. There's so much that needs to be done. And I'm not the kind of guy that likes to just sit down, especially in meetings. I have to get up after a little while, I'm just kind of on the go. So, but it's fun. It's fun. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. There's a lot going on. And, we're just fortunate and blessed to be here and to continue to do what we're doing.
There's a lot going on, and there's obviously things that each year. All right, it's February. It's the stretch run of the basketball season, and the calendar is going to wind down as you get towards summer. But then you have events that come up like the Wildfires a couple weeks ago that there's not a playbook for. And you've got to work on the fly here within athletics, also with Central Campus, to figure out how UCLA can serve its community. I'm curious just from your perspective, how that all came about, how you guys work through that, and how UCLA and UCLA athletics will continue to support the communities here.
Yeah, and just a terrible tragedy just with the wildfires and just the impact that it had on everyone. We felt it obviously personally here on campus, and we had a handful of our student athletes, families who lost their home and in the wildfires. So, I talked to every one of our student athletes that was in that situation, and we had a lot of alumni and donors and supporters that were significantly impacted, and made sure to touch base and try to help where we could. Usually when you go through such tough times, tough challenges, people come together and you see the true spirit and character of an individual, of a group, of a team, and I can't tell you how proud I am of our student athletes and some of the efforts that they made on their own, individually and collectively. Women's basketball, softball. I could go down the list of so many of our teams, gymnastics, that did something and are still doing things to help those that were impacted and in need of support. And as an athletic department, we try to do what we can, and we're still doing that. I see you have the shirt, the LA Strong shirt. I encourage anyone, go to fanatics.com and order one of your UCLA LA Strong shirts. 100% of the proceeds go to LA Fire Department and the Red Cross, and so that's been a good initiative that we were able to put together and work with Fanatics to do quickly. So it's been a challenging time, but the resiliency of this community, I know that we're already on the way to recovery, and we're going to help our community. We're going to help our supporters and people, by and large, Bruins that have been significantly impacted by the wildfires.
There was some great video of you, and Martin Jarmond joins us here on the Bruin Insider Show, UCLA Athletic Director, where you were at the game, the women's basketball game, at Long Beach when the move had to be made because of the fires, where you moved it down to Long Beach. And you were out there just shaking hands with everybody, just to think about how much went into it behind the scenes. You know how important it is for so many reasons to be able to play in a safe place, to make all of that happen, for you to be there. How does that speak on how much you have to listen to the players, be there for them, and deliver like you do, because you really are a really good problem solver?
Well, I've said this before, and I can't reiterate this enough. I am blessed to work with so many talented teammates, and I've got to start with our athletic department staff and coming together to help position our student athletes to be able to compete at Long Beach. And, obviously we want to thank Long Beach for allowing us, but it's the staff here in the athletic department, Kayla, Christina Munger Rivera, Aaron Atkins. There's so many people, Kenny Donaldson, that just went into working all through the day and night to try to figure out how do we help our student athletes. One, those that were displaced, we needed to find a place for them, but also to be able to compete and to practice and do the things that they love. So I want to give a shout out to our staff, because our staff really stepped up to help do a game in Long Beach. And, I'm fortunate that I've got great people that I work with that are great teammates and that really keep the student athlete top of mind. And that was our priority. And so, you just want to stay connected and you want to be there for them. And that's what we try to do is always be there for them, and they know that they're supported, whatever we're going through.
Brian brings up women's basketball, so it seems like the perfect avenue to take to talk about Corey Close and her 20-0 Bruins. I'm sure you've got to be thrilled about that. And it comes while women's basketball just continues to skyrocket in popularity as well. And, Corey's been such a champion of the sport for years. How proud are you of what this team has shown so far and where they're going here over the next couple months?
Oh, incredibly proud. I mean, what the team is doing, one, has never been done. So anytime you have a team or someone or a group that's doing something that's never been done, it's special. But if Corey was sitting right there, she wouldn't want me to talk like this, because job's not done. They're still working. They're still in the middle of the season. But to be 20-0, to be first place or number one in the country, I think it's 9 weeks, which is a record for us. It's a record in the Big Ten. No team has ever done that in the Big Ten Conference. And Corey has done a tremendous job with her leadership and helping our young women develop, and they're playing really well. I mean, we're beating really good teams, and we're getting better. And, sometimes it's hard to be able to have that level of focus and intensity when you're 20-0 and everybody's gunning for you. And this team is just, they've taken on every person, every team. So I'm extremely proud of them, not for being 20-0, but just the way that they go about their work and the way they care about each other and the way they play. I really love watching them play. I was telling Corey, actually, I think it was earlier today, just the entry passes. The team passes the ball really well, and just the fundamentals. They're just playing really well at a high level. So we're really proud, and I can't wait to continue to see how they do down the stretch.
Playing really well at a high level would be the men's basketball team. You use the word resilience.
Yep.
And I really feel like that strikes a certain chord right now with this team and the way they have turned a little challenging, rough spot, and they have really turned things around. Mick Cronin deserves all the credit in the world along with his players to see the way these guys are battling through adversity the way they have, and then winning against a rival in USC last night with Adai Mar going off. What does that mean for you to see the way these guys are battle-tested, and they keep fighting, and they keep getting success happening?
A couple things. One, you're in a Big Ten conference. Everybody is good. It's a physical conference. It's the best conference, in my opinion, in the country. And so there are no nights off. And so you're going to have spells where you're playing really well, and you're going to have spells where it's not going as well. And it's a credit to Mick Cronin. I mean, he's been a head coach for a long time. I don't worry about Mick from the standpoint of how the season is going, because he has a great ability to know what his team needs when they need it. And I was over at the Galen Center last night, and there's no better feeling than to see us, quiet the crowd, and the students were in the top section. Shout out to the students. You guys came and brought it. It was awesome. Just hearing them chanting Kobe's name and the UCLA chants at the end when Mac hit that big three. But no, it's great. Men's basketball's on a 4-game winning streak. And you just gotta. It's a long season. You gotta ebb and flow. And I have all the confidence in the world in Mick and the guys, because they're talented. They play hard, and if there's one thing that I know, he knows how to get the best out of that team and those guys, and they play for each other. And that's a beautiful thing that you like to see. So, again, a lot more season to go. So there's no stopping this team as far as what they can do and continue to accomplish as we get further along in the season.
Another squad we saw play together and play for each other was what Deshaun Foster had with his football program during the fall, and the resilience that they showed. Obviously super difficult to become a head coach of a football team in February, and thought he did
unprecedented, not just super difficult. It hasn't happened before. So that was a situation that no other coach has been in. And
For sure.
And he handled that extremely well.
Extremely well, and now we're seeing he's getting a full offseason, retooling the staff a little bit. Akaika Malloy coming back on the defensive side, I think really exciting as well. But just what has you excited about what you saw there in year one? And I know we all wanted that one more win, get to a bowl game would have been a nice benchmark, but still a lot of promise. What excites you about the future for Deshaun and his program?
Well, one, I told Deshaun this after the season. I love how the team fought. You know, they fought, they battled, they played hard every game, every down, no matter whether they had lost 2 or 3 games in a row or won 2 games in a row. They were the same team as far as their effort and intensity, and that's a credit to Deshaun and his leadership and his motivation and the guys. You know, just it's hard to do. I mean, it's a grind a little bit in a football season to have that level of competitiveness and intensity throughout. And I just thought that they played hard every game. So I was pleased with that because that's something you can control is your effort. And you know, to finish the season, the last 6 games, the second half of the year, 4-2, to beat a good Iowa team at home, to go to Nebraska, beat them. I was proud of that. You know, that's big. And to see Deshaun throughout the season and the team just keep growing and getting better and competing, and it was really good for me to see. I'm excited about the opportunity. You know, Deshaun has hired a lot of new assistant coaches. He's got his off season, so this is his first kind of recruiting class, transfer class, and it was ranked very high. And then he's got some assistant coaches that he knows and he's connected with that he's hired, and so I think that'll be positive for him. So a lot of excitement over in the Wasserman building, and I'm proud of how that team played hard the whole season, and they got better and they kept fighting. And we won 5 games. Everybody wants to win more games, but I always look at the progress. You know, it's not always, we're in a results business, yes, but you got to look at the overall growth of a program and the maturation continuation. And I think that program got better as the year went on, and I'm excited for next year.
Our guest on the Bruin Insider Show is UCLA Athletic Director Martin Jarmond, alongside Nick Cope. I'm Brian Fenley. So you talk about the trust you have in Deshaun Foster, bringing in some new coaches. And what I notice about you, Martin, is not only are you empowering others and coaches of all sports here at UCLA, but you also have trust in them. So when it comes to having a dialogue and different personalities, depending upon what sport, how do you develop that two-way communication of trust and open communication and dialogue with those coaches, no matter what sport it is, so that they know you got their back and that vice versa as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. For me, it just starts with the relationship that you have with the coaches, and coaches are experts at their field. You know, you're not a head coach at UCLA if you're not freaking good at what you do. And so for me, that trust begins there. You wouldn't be, I wouldn't have hired you, or you wouldn't have been hired here if you were here before I got here, if you didn't have an ability to lead and win and motivate and inspire young people. So it starts there, and then it's relationships. It's just like any kind of organization. It's how you relate. And for me, I know that I'm fortunate to have great coaches around me, and my job is to try to support them and help them in any way that I can. And I'm going to continue to do that. What I try to do with our coaches is be consistent. I'm the same with the coach, whether they won 2 games or lost 2 games. I try to be very consistent because you want to be able to count on that, because there's a lot coming at our coaches. I mean, this thing is changing so much. You got to be a CEO now. And so I have a healthy respect for the job that they do and the demands on their time and energy. I just met with a head coach earlier today, and I talked about how he's got to make sure that he manages all the components of what he has to do to run the program. And it's just a lot of demands on our coaches now. And so it's not easy. I mean, fans see, games and wins and losses, but there's so much that goes into running a program. And I have great coaches here that I'm blessed to work with, and that trust starts with them and how I can support them and help them.
You talk about all the changes in college athletics.
That's a lot.
It's been a few since you've been here, right? But there's
it's been a few
just a
yes.
few. But there's another one coming down the pipeline, potentially a couple months. April 7th. He's got the date ready to go. The House settlement, revenue sharing, and it needs to have a final judgment there on April 7th. But in the interim, you've got to prepare for what comes with that. What does that all entail for UCLA?
Well, we don't have enough time to tell you, but we've been preparing for this House settlement now for months. I mean, we've been preparing for this since the summer. And so, again, a credit to our administrative team here, both in the athletic department, with helping us with the rev share and how that looks, and also campus administration, from the CFO's office to the Chancellor's office. We've just had great alignment with what we're trying to accomplish, how we want to be. We want to be competing for championships in all of our programs in the Big Ten. And so you've got to resource that the right way, and you've got to help support that. And campus has been great. And so I'm excited about it. I hope that it does go through April 7th. I think it will help us. It will help UCLA and how we compete. And our student athletes deserve it, in my opinion. I've been a proponent of that. So it's a new day, and you have to adjust and adapt. That's the way, and that's the deal. And so again, trying to be consistent, same way, and just really supporting our student athletes in a more meaningful way, and having a different relationship with our student athletes now. It's a business relationship as well. And so you have to have that component of NIL, but also providing them brand opportunities, different opportunities that they can take advantage of. We spend more time thinking about how we can help our student athletes in those ways. And that's just something that we're going to be about here at UCLA.
From next play to my last play, as far as my last question for you.
That was good.
I tried.
That was good.
I tried.
That was good.
I tried.
He's
Next
got the
play
segue
to the
game.
last play to the segue.
Yep.
That was good.
I try. Martin Jarmond, so glad to have him with us here on the Bruin Insider Show, UCLA Athletic Director. Final one from me. So you talked about some new administration, the new chancellor coming in.
Yes.
What is that like from a standpoint of how often do you have to talk with him, and what that relationship is like in terms of what 2025 looks like overall for sports for UCLA, but even setting the tone for the future beyond that?
Well, I will tell you, and he's been officially on board for 2 weeks, and I've just been thoroughly impressed with him. It's not how often do I have to talk to, it's I get the opportunity to. I mean, that's how I look at Dr. Frank. He came to our men's basketball game last week, I believe, the Iowa game, and we won that game by a lot. And I told him and his wife, Dr. Felicia, I said, look, you guys got to come back to more games. if we win home games by 20 plus points, man, that was amazing. So but just to see his leadership through these challenging times with the wildfires, his communication, he's put out videos to the broader community, but also to his cabinet. It's been phenomenal. You can tell that he's been a CEO before. He has a steady hand, a coolness and calmness about him. And I love his vision. He outlined a little bit for us. We're going to do a retreat, the vice chancellors and deans, coming up shortly. But he laid out a little bit of his vision and what he wants, and it's in perfect alignment with what we're trying to do in the strategic plan for the university. So I like working with him. He's new. He's got a lot going on, but he certainly appreciates the importance of athletics and what it means to our broader community, and he gets that. And so I appreciate that very much.
So I'd be remiss if we didn't also talk about NIL among all the other things going on. That's obviously a huge thing. And the reorganization you guys did a couple months ago, Bruins for Life, Men of Westwood, Champion of Westwood. How have you seen that have a positive impact, the way you kind of set that up and reset NIL here? And what do people need to know moving forward about NIL here at UCLA?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the end. What people need to know is you need to support NIL. That supports our student athletes directly, and we want to help them be successful. And that's the reality of where we are now. So if you can, whether it's $1, although you can do more than $1, you can do 100, 1,000, whatever you can do to support Men of Westwood, Champion of Westwood, Bruins for Life. They're outstanding organizations that really fuel our student athletes to support them in ways that we haven't been able to do before. And as far as the reorganization, I think anytime you have something new, you've got to start somewhere, and you kind of have this gestation phase and you change. And what we realized is we really needed to have football have its own focus. And then basketball had to have its own focus, and then all the other sports. And so, we just had to have that clarity, and that allows us to be better aligned with how we approach our donors and our alumni and our fans and say, hey, here's a lane for this, here's a lane for this. Whatever lane you want to operate in and you want to support, we're here for it. And so, credit to, again, the collective. Ken Graver has been amazing. He's been great to work with, and what he's doing for our student athletes. And James has been James Washington. He's running Bruins for Life, and he's done a great job. I mean, these are I call them jobs because they really are like that. That these both Bruins stepped up to do and support, and that's a credit to just them loving this program. So credit to them, shout out to them, and everybody that supported NIL. Thank you so much. We need more. For us to be the program that our fans want us to be, we have to have everybody all in. That's the bottom line. You don't accomplish great things without everybody being all in. And that means NIL, that means buying tickets, that means season tickets, that means donations to Wooden Athletic Fund. All of it is important, and we need everybody, because we're not the kind of athletic program that is going to hit 4 grand slams. I mean, Freddie Freeman is not right here. He's not playing here, but guess what? We can hit a lot of singles and doubles, and that adds up, and that's what we've got to do to approach this thing. If we want to be competitive at the highest level nationally and in the Big Ten, that's what it's going to take.
And even with the House settlement and revenue sharing coming down the line, that doesn't change NIL and its importance at all.
Full speed ahead. NIL, full speed ahead. That's the way we're operating, and that's the way Bruins, we all need to operate. Full speed ahead with NIL. That's not changing. We've got to support our student athletes through NIL, and we want to bring the best and brightest to Westwood, and that's what it's going to take, and that's part of it.
It goes without saying that you've been on the front lines of this, and we appreciate you as we wrap up this conversation, just being on the cutting edge of NIL and how important that is for the vitality of UCLA athletics as a whole. You said operate. As again, we finish this conversation, I don't know how you operate. The fact is that you would probably be best if there was a way we could make 36 hours in a day, 48 hours in a day. If that was humanly possible, Martin Jarmond would make it happen. We were so glad to have him to talk about 2025, NIL, and everything in regards to the future of UCLA athletics. And needless to say, it's in good hands with this guy. Martin Jarmond, UCLA Athletic Director, on the Bruin Insider Show with Nick Cope. I'm Brian Fenley. Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Great to see you.
Great to see you,
much.
too. All right, go Bruins.